Putnam, please welcome once again Greg Ball, candidate for the 40th Senate District, State of New York.
Putnam.
What did I say?
I on Putnam.
Did I say I am Putnam?
I love your beginning reel. It's awesome. It's very good.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, it takes a lot of volunteers to make things work,
right,
as you know.
Yeah.
And
today we have a living easel. We actually have a live easel.
Yes,
this probably breaks labor law in about 12 different ways. So if anybody can guess who this is behind this easel.
Now let's take a look at that sign there. Look at that. That's a big bill.
Call 845-582-0548. If you can guess it, we'll give you a free yard sign. And they're going like hotcakes. So 845-582-0548. Who's behind this tax hike Mike bill? Who is the living easel? If you can figure it out, call right now. 845-582-0548. And I'll give you one clue. It ain't Vinny Libel.
Well, Greg, you know, in a serious note, and actually a very serious note, let's take a look at this bill here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, you know, you don't want to go.
$11 billion.
Yeah, you don't want to go to the Ever Ready Diner and get this because there's no money left for a tip.
No, unless you're Bill Gates, right?
Yes, of course.
Yep.
Now let's look at this. We have 5 items listed here, and this is what you claim your opponent is responsible for.
I'm just going to tell you right now. If I had a track record like this, I would not be running for public office in this type of an economy, saying that I'm a fiscal conservative. Tax Hike Mike was chairman. This is his title, okay? So where he attacks
Budget and Appropriations Committee Chairman.
Absolutely. And here's a living easel. You're not doing a very good job because it's about to blow out of the way. But this is his title, Budget and Appropriations Committee Chairman. This guy made sure, this guy rubber stamped, this guy tax and spend man was the reason, the Sheldon Silver of White Plains, the Sheldon Silver of Westchester County. He was in a position as Budget and Appropriations Committee Chairman to either decrease taxes, right, because the revenue was coming into the Westchester County coffers during the good times. The good times were rolling. So politicians at that time had the opportunity to either take that money in, but then send it back in the form of tax relief, cut taxes altogether because you didn't need the taxes to be as high because the revenue was coming in, or to keep the money in the government coffers and still raise taxes. What did he decide? Keep money in the coffers, bloated budgets, over $10 billion. This isn't a small county
government. First item there. That's the appetizer.
Over $1 billion in new spending every single year, right? And increased taxes by over 42%. As chairman, Budget Appropriations Committee Chairman, Tax Hike Mike, otherwise I forget his last name, but Tax Hike Mike is responsible for over 42% increases in property taxes. The $60 million.
All right. Well, this is the salad.
This is salad. This is the appetizer to the main course, right? So you have a federal low-income housing disaster, the Obama-Pelosi housing disaster, rubber stamped by Tax Hike Mike.
Listen,
a $60 million unfunded mandate.
We want to help people maybe that are on their way up, and you know, as a society,
me.
And me too. But as a society, we're obligated to some extent, to help those less fortunate than us.
I agree.
Okay, but explain what is the issue here?
Before we get into that, remember we have a living easel here. There's a living easel. If anybody can guess who's behind this Tax Hike Mike bill, now we know who's behind the $11 billion. That's Tax Hike Mike. But who's holding up the bill today? If you can figure that out, call 845-582-0548 and win a free yard sign. And they're going like hotcakes. Okay, here we go.
But anyway, the debacle.
I support housing for seniors. We need affordable housing for seniors who live here, who are paying the taxes. We've got to do everything we can to make sure that there's housing for our cops, our firemen, EMT, first responders, workforce type situations. But this federal low-income housing disaster, rubber stamped by Tax Hike Mike, actually will cost Westchester County taxpayers $60 million, right? Huge unfunded mandate from the federal government.
Well, that's a problem, unfunded mandate.
Now he's saying, oh, I'm against unfunded mandates. Well, congratulations for his conversion on a political deathbed to the altar of fiscal sanity. This is criminally insane, and he rubber stamped it. This will be spent not for Westchester County seniors, not for Westchester County cops and firemen, but it will be actively marketed at Westchester County expense, out of county, out of state, to low-income individuals.
What? To bring people here that don't live here?
Are not paying Westchester County taxes and do not live here. It'll be marketed in New Jersey, in the inner city. It'll be marketed in the Bronx. This is a federal disaster, and he should have fought against it, and it's going to kill
What is
communities.
This? What is this? Busing? But
this is 750 units of low-income housing. And not only that, you talk about the social costs years down the road. Something very similar happened in Yonkers, and there are many people who live in this district now because they were upset with what happened in Yonkers. Now Tax Hike Mike is bringing it to northern Westchester County.
All right, well, maybe he thinks he could pay for it with his new taxes.
And once again, we have this living billboard, 845-582-0548. Call our campaign office. Simply, if you want to volunteer, or if you're interested in getting a free yard sign, if you know who's behind here. And once again, like I said, it is not Vinny Libel. Okay, new taxes annually, $400 million.
That's a lot.
$400 million
It's almost 4 times the Putnam budget.
Exactly. Now, as budget chairman, remember, what was this title? Tax Hike Mike. I served in a super minority in the New York State Assembly under the iron-fisted rule of that 800-pound gorilla named Sheldon Silver, an entirely despicable man. One person out of 150. And I still was able to leverage my position in that bully pulpit to accomplish great things. This guy was the Sheldon Silver of Westchester County. He was in full control.
He had his finger on the
full
trigger.
Control. And when he had the opportunity to cut taxes or cut government spending, he increased spending and increased taxes. Completely responsible.
And assumed a $60 million unfunded mandate. Okay.
Patronage, salaries, benefits. This is a guy talking about pension increase. This guy gave an $84,000 payout.
This is an item that most people wouldn't order: patronage and salary and benefit increases.
You get some bad heartburn.
Yeah,
because the problem with this is that you pay for it in the pension.
Pepto-Bismol is not going to take care of it.
It is not. It is not. This is something that we're going to be paying for decades. Westchester County taxpayers. He talks about pension reform, but he gave an $84,000 payout for sick leave and time to a guy named Larry Schwartz, who then went and got a 6-figure job up in Albany. Westchester County taxpayers are going to be paying that forever. He voted to give Andy Spano, the guy that increased taxes and the guy that the taxpayers finally threw out on his ear and a couple other body parts. He actually voted to give Andy Spano a raise. He increased the stipends for Boss Ryan, the guy that was under investigation by the Ethics Committee, over $200,000. He increased the commissioners down there were making about $124 a year. He gave them a $30,000 raise and called it fair. I mean, this guy now is going he's going before all the editorial board meetings and saying that he's a fiscal conservative. I mean, calling Tax Hike Mike a fiscal conservative is like saying that Bill Gates should be on welfare. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Once again, we have this living billboard being upheld on the ball campaign. We actually have living easels. If you can figure out who this individual is behind, we know who's behind the $11 billion, but actually holding up this $11 billion, which is awfully heavy, I'm sure. Call 845-582-0548.
Okay, now we have dessert. Oh no! There goes the legislation.
Now we go to, we actually covered the dessert as well. But at the end of the day, an $11 billion bill. We have a limited amount of time to get New York State back on track. We've already lost 2 million New Yorkers.
You think it's too late, or can we do it?
The people who are leaving this state are the ones paying this bill. It would be nice if the people who were giving us the expenses would be the ones who were leaving this state, right? But it's the people paying the bill that are leaving the state. We have a finite opportunity in New York State in this election to get it back on track. My opponent has been handpicked by the New York City tax and spend gang to send him to Albany. They're spending
giving him hundreds
of thousands. They're probably going to end up spending $1 million in this race.
Just to get you.
Not only to take my independent voice out, but to take the seat that has been a long time in Republican hands. And this isn't about Republican versus Democrat. This is about the Hudson Valley. We either get to repeal the MTA payroll tax, cap property taxes, free school taxes for seniors, and finally reform Albany, or we don't. And if we send them their handpicked candidate, if we send those New York City Democrats in Albany their handpicked candidate, we will never be able to get this state back on track. So it's going to decide. It really is going to decide in this election. That's why both sides are so aggressively fighting so hard.
Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
If I had some Alka-Seltzer, I'd give it to you.
And here we go. Let's find out who it is. Jim.
Jim, thank you. I'm glad to see you find some gainful employment.
After Tax Hike Mike, this is the best I can do.
Gentlemen, thank you. And thank you for watching. I am Putnam.